The sliding glass doors of Lincoln Memorial Hospital hissed open, letting in a soaked boy no more than 10 years old. His sneakers were frayed, his sweatshirt clung to his small frame from the freezing November rain. Before he could take 3 steps onto the marble floor, a sharp voice rang out. "Security! Get that kid out of here before he contaminates something," barked Dr. Preston Hall, head of pediatric neurology, his expression twisting as though the boy were a stain on his spotless lab coat. Eli Turner stopped in his tracks, chest rising and falling. He had walked 12 blocks through the cold, but it wasn't the weather making his hands tremble. It was the weight of a promise he had made to himself. "Please, sir," Eli said, his voice calm enough to make everyone within earshot blink. "I just want to help the girl in the wheelchair. I know how to make her walk." At 45, Dr. Hall was a 4th-generation doctor, treating only the children of Chicago's elite. His specialty wasn't curing the incurable, it was telling wealthy parents exactly what they wanted to hear. And when it came to Claire Morgan, daughter of Dr. Robert Morgan, the hospital's chief surgeon and largest donor, Hall had been telling the same thing for years: there was no hope. "Security," Hall repeated, waving his hand. "Street kids don't tell doctors how to do their jobs." Eli ignored the footsteps approaching behind him. "She's been in therapy for 3 years and hasn't taken a step. My grandmother taught me how to help her." It was then Dr. Morgan appeared, pushing a wheelchair. The 7-year-old inside had wide, curious eyes and a soft halo of blonde hair. When she spotted Eli, her face lit up. She reached out her arms. "Claire, no, Dr. Morgan said quickly, pulling her chair back. "We have a session." But the little girl pointed at Eli and spoke her first clear word in 2 years. "Friend." The hallway went silent. In 3 years of treatment, Claire had never reacted to anyone like that. Eli knelt to meet her gaze. "Hi, princess. Do you want to learn how to dance?" "Enough," Hall snapped. "Get him out now. And if I see you here again, I'll call the police." As the guards led him toward the doors, Eli leaned in just enough for Hall to hear. "Doctor, I know exactly why she never got better. And I know you know too." Those words wouldn't leave Hall's mind for days. By Thursday morning, Eli was sitting on the hospital steps like he'd been waiting all along. He didn't try to enter, just watched through the glass. Claire, in therapy that morning, kept glancing toward the window. When Hall followed her gaze, he saw the boy's face. Claire became restless, then began to cry, real tears of frustration. That afternoon, Hall found Eli talking with one of the senior nurses in the parking lot. "Janet, you were told not to engage with him," Hall snapped. "I'm sorry, doctor," Janet replied, "but he was telling me about techniques his grandmother used with special kids. It's fascinating." Eli turned to Hall, still calm. "My grandmother was Grace Turner. She worked here for 30 years in pediatric neurology. Maybe you remember her." Hall froze. He remembered Grace well, one of the most respected nurses the hospital had ever seen, known for achieving miracles where doctors failed. "She'd passed away recently. She raised me after my parents died," Eli continued. "She taught me everything about how children's brains work, especially in cases like Claire's." Hall's voice hardened. "Children don't treat patients here." Eli stepped closer. "I know you lied to Dr. Morgan about her condition. You misdiagnosed her and hid it to protect yourself." A shadow crossed Hall's face. "You don't know anything." "I know she doesn't have severe cerebral palsy," Eli said evenly. "She has a treatable neuromotor dyskinesia syndrome. But you'd rather let her suffer than admit you were wrong." Janet looked shaken. Hall, pale, turned away, but the boy's words clung like a curse. The next day, Dr. Rachel Kim, a newly arrived neurologist, heard about Eli. She knew Grace Turner's name, everyone in the field did. Curious, she went to the steps and sat beside him. "You must be Eli," she said. "You knew my grandmother?" "Not personally, but her reputation was legendary." Eli studied her. "Do you really want to know about Claire, or are you testing me?" "I want to know." Eli explained his diagnosis, describing precise signs he'd observed from the sidewalk. Rachel's stomach sank. If he was right, Claire had been receiving the wrong treatment for years. When Hall saw them together, fury burned across his face. But Rachel challenged him. Let Eli demonstrate in front of Dr. Morgan. Cornered, Hall agreed. In the therapy room, Eli knelt before Claire and gently touched pressure points on her legs. To everyone's shock, her toes moved, her knees bent, controlled, deliberate. "That's impossible," Hall muttered. "Those are involuntary spasms." "No," Eli said. "They're proof she has the wrong diagnosis." From his worn backpack, Eli pulled out a notebook filled with 3 weeks of meticulous observations, dates, responses, physical reactions, and even referenced MRI scans from 2020 that contradicted Hall's claims. Dr. Morgan scanned the pages, face draining of color. "Hall, is this true?" Hall stammered about uncertainty, but Morgan erupted. "You told me my daughter would never walk. You stole years from her." Rachel examined the notes. "These are extraordinary, Eli. You've documented preserved motor function clearly." "Princess," Eli said softly to Claire, "do you want to stand?" With his help, she supported her own weight for several seconds. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Dr. Morgan's eyes filled with tears. "You're fired," he told Hall. "And the board will hear everything." 6 months later, the hospital was transformed. Claire ran down its halls, laughter echoing. A new department, the Grace Turner Center for Neurorehabilitation, was led by Dr. Kim, with Eli as the youngest consultant in its history. Children once written off as hopeless were walking, playing, and reclaiming their lives. Dr. Morgan adopted Eli, calling him the son he never expected but always needed. In Grace's old files, Rachel found a journal of techniques, over 200 cases Grace had healed in secret, methods too unconventional for the medical establishment to accept at the time. Eli kept working with the kids every day, now in a special medical program for gifted students. Claire, inspired by her recovery, vowed to become a pediatrician. As for Hall, his medical license was revoked after other neglected cases surfaced. He now sold equipment, his reputation in ruins. At the hospital's entrance, a plaque bears Eli's chosen words: "Every miracle begins when someone refuses to give up on a child."